Um, is there the audio video announcements?
It's been read
Yeah, been read.
before the recording
Right.
started.
If anybody needs to see it, give me a call. All right, I guess we're open for public comment at this point in the meeting. I don't necessarily see anybody from the public except for maybe Jamie Sansberry, but I'm guessing they're just tuning in as a formality. So if no public comments, we can jump right into fiscal year 25 capital requests and out year discussion, sewer and stormwater. For this, we have David Gray, Director of the Sewer Department. David, thanks for joining us. How's it going, David?
Good. Motion to adjourn.
So moved. No, just kidding.
There we go.
All right, so looks like we have quite a number. I think I counted 20 when I did a little informal count earlier. I think, David, we don't know if you have the same list as us, so I think we have just been going off whatever list you're reading off of. Feel free to jump into the 2025s. I think we'll do them, one at a time. So, hit one, see if we have any questions. If we don't, we'll move on to the next. And then once we get to the end, if anyone needs to loop back for anything, we will. And we'll go sewer and then stormwater.
Okay.
Sound like a plan, everybody? Good, yeah, okay.
Sounds good.
Take it away, David.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for having me. Some of these have been on the list for a while here. Example, the first few anyways here have been on the list for a bit. The first one is relatively big one. That's the Baxter Road sewer design and construction. This, as I'm sure many already know, is we're working on coastal resiliency. We're working on risk assessment. We're working on a plan for mitigation if the erosion gets any worse than what it has been. We have been continually pushing this out for the last few years. Do I think we're going to have to do something in 25? It all depends on what happens this winter with erosion. We're working very closely with Vince and his team and all the engineers. We have a proposed preliminary design already in the works. We're having some conflicts, I guess we'll say, with some of the residents out there. But I mean, I don't want to keep pushing this out only because if it hits the fan quickly, we don't have anything in 25. Not saying we're going to have to do any appropriations or anything this year, but I think we should leave it there. But I don't know how everyone there feels. It's one of those that are just teetering right on the edge out there. So, I mean, it doesn't necessarily need, we don't need to borrow anything unless we already have the approval. But my fingers are all crossed that we don't get there that quickly. So I don't know if that helps explain it a little bit. So
Yeah, I think we're all loosely familiar with it. Obviously, as you said, it's been on our radar for a while. I'll start inside here, Brooke.
David, do you need all of it? Is it like if you do it, you have to do it all, or can it be done in chunks? Like the contingency planning separate from the long-term planning?
Yeah. The contingency and all the coastal resiliency that Vince is working on is already underway. The engineers are already deep into plans and getting easements and everything. So this is mainly going to be a lot for construction and construction services. Will we need the whole 10 million? It's really just hard to know right now because some of the people that already live on Baxter Road from where we had been dumping the sand over all there are some houses already on pump systems that may not be compatible with the system that we are installing. So we may end up having to take and install pumps on some of these existing properties. So the price, that's why it's such a steep number, but it was just that cushion that some pumps might be fine. Other pumps may not. And, to go all the way from the backside of Baxter Road down through Sankaty Road, Popus Road area, it's, it's quite a long distance and there's a lot to it. So,
Okay,
um,
it feels like we've been holding our breath for a number of years and.
that's a good way to put it, I think, for sure.
Yeah, totally.
That's true. That's exactly what it is. Like, do you want to do the money here?
Do we want to risk not having it? It's one of these
Not having it
days,
reserved.
yeah,
Yeah.
Anybody else?
especially since we know it's gonna happen eventually, right?
Yeah.
It's inevitable, but who knows? We could build out 60 feet this year, although we're already seeing a big loss here just with the little storms we've had. So, but all right, so that one's I'll take that one and continue down here.
Anybody
Yep.
else? Good, all good? Yep.
I just to
real
have some
quick.
understanding,
Christie?
David?
Yep.
Christie here.
Barry.
What are the big roadblocks right now? Is there anything, whether it's neighbors or what is your big roadblock from this pushing on?
Some of it has to do with different neighbors. The way that's been designed by Arcadis and everyone. Some people don't like the way that we're trying to make the temporary or the new permanent accesses to the back of the property. And other than that, there's an awful big wetland on that backside of Bayberry, between Bayberry and say the lighthouse. So there's some significant permitting that needs to go in there. We have to find areas for mitigation. So, but right now and Vince is working on this, I think, weekly, as are the engineers. I think it's just been some push and shove with some neighbors, et cetera. So,
A lot of stakeholders too getting on
Yeah.
the same page, which.
a lot of stakeholders, yeah.
More cooks in the kitchen, the harder it is to cook.
Yeah.
Want to recognize Barry Rector joining the meeting. Right now, Barry, I know you just jumped in midstream. We're doing 108 to 120 Baxter Road, sewer design and construction.
No problem.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, it sounds like we'll have a quorum whether or not you need to go too, so we're not necessarily in as much of a rush as we might have been. But with that being said,
Okay.
David, next up.
Just keep on going. Okay,
Yes,
the next
sir.
one, that's on the list here is the airport pump station upgrade. This is something that we kind of keep in the list as a maintenance update, stuff like that. We are going to be, the airport pump station is actually going out to bid here shortly for a complete renovation and upgrade. So I'm going to anticipate that 100,000 is not going to be used in 26. I mean, it'll probably be able to be moved out at least a year or two once the new pump station's built. But this has just been on the books for a while, and we just haven't moved it anywhere. The F-650, that was taken care of. This is the list that I have for the agenda meeting today, so I'm just going to keep going through.
Yeah, and so, and just real quick, I think we usually hit all the fiscal year 2025s first, and then if anybody has any out
Okay.
years that they to, so if you want to stick to the 25s, just,
Yeah,
because we
fine.
do have a pretty,
Yeah, I
big
can
list
get through
here.
these pretty quickly. The CMOM program is something that's been on the list here now for about 4.5, 5 years. It's a
Mhm.
continuation of this. It's continuing going through all the town's infrastructure, doing updates and upgrades. We just put out a bid yesterday for some year 1B repairs and replacements. So this is just an ongoing continuation of bringing our sanitary sewer infrastructure into the 21st century.
Hmm.
So
So on that one real quick, just, what did you say? And maybe I heard it wrong. It's been about 6 years since we started the CMON program?
it has, and the first 3 years was all the assessment and investigation work. We did 3 years of cleaning and camera work.
Yep.
And then the 4th year was the first year that we put out bids for repairs, replacements. We did a whole bunch of lining of systems downtown, Easton
Mhm.
Street and everything. So now that we're in to the next year of designs, and we're looking to replace Vestal Street, King Street, a couple of streets in Sconset. So this is all just a continuation of that to move along.
Certainly,
Yeah.
and so I believe, has it been 2 million a year since the beginning?
We have, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and so is that, I mean, it seems like 2 million buys you a lot less this year than it did 6 years ago. Is that still enough? You know, how do you guys manage kind of the increase in prices versus what you're trying to do annually? And the lack of, the decrease in purchasing power of that.
We do have some funds still
Okay,
from a couple appropriations of prior years. Of course, we got to take into account out COVID years. Those years we couldn't do any work. We couldn't get any materials. So
so did that money kind of back up surplus, so to speak? So you're just kind of chipping away 2 million a year plus what wasn't spent for previous years?
correct. We're trying to take and make up now for the COVID years.
Okay.
And that really hit us, to slow the project down, but we're doing okay. Move into the next one.
Well, yeah, hold on one second. I'm just gonna open it up in here for any other
Okay.
questions on the CBOM.
David, I'm just looking out to fiscal year 28. Does that represent dormancy or the project being complete, or is that just lack of a placeholder?
I don't know if we'll ever can technically say we're going to be complete. But it's just, I think we just did out to 27. We will be looking to most likely carry those numbers straight across. And there may be years that we just don't use because we have surplus from a back year based on our little backlog that we have. But we can, in the next go around with this, we can continue to add going out. But I think this was back in 20. So this is, the 4 or 5 years that we've had this going out, and I just didn't keep it going for right now.
Okay.
Just a quick
follow up, Christie.
David, if you could just give us an idea, what, as far as the CMOM project, that whole big project there, what percent are we into that? And I mean, I know you say we're going to be funding it for quite some time, but are we like 40% in? Are we 10% in? Like, what do you, when you look at the big picture, what sort of percent have we, and I know it's different because a lot of it is investigation, design, and then and then the work. But just curious, just to give me an idea what your sense is.
Okay,
where we are.
so we're just about 100% complete with the investigative work, the CCTV work, the cleaning work. I would say we're probably 40% around some of the initial repairs, some of the big initial year 1A stuff was downtown. A lot of that had to do a lot of lining downtown. That took almost 2 construction seasons alone. We lined all of Easton Street, Westchester. I mean, we lined a lot in town, and we saved, based on the differences we looked at from open construction to lining, we saved about $12 million so far. And that's why we're kind of trying to focus a lot more on this lining. If we have a hose pipe that has the capacity and it's in good structural condition, we can put a 50-year liner in those and we don't have to dig up the roads. It's saving us a tremendous amount of money, especially on just paving and dewatering and everything else. This next set of plans that's going out includes 5 or 6 different streets. So as far as construction goes, based off the first few years, I say we're probably, I'm gonna say probably 40% there as well. Some of these expansion projects, or not, excuse me, renovation projects, repair projects, aligning projects, are some of them we've shifted around a little bit to try to meet the needs of complete streets with Mike Burns and transportation coordination. And a lot of times we're trying to re-coordinate these with DPW plans for paving. So we may have to shift a little bit here on some of our stuff, but the next streets that we're going into are high priority streets for us: Dover Street, Vestal Street. We have a couple of manholes that are completely failing on us on Dover. So we're going to be replacing all of Dover Street into Union Street. King Street and Sconset's another big one. So we're trying to focus working together with a lot of the other departments. So we're doing pretty good. I mean, we have slowed down a little bit, but we're doing pretty good.
Thank you.
Great. I think that covers the room, so I think we move on to whatever's next on your list.
Okay, the next one is the Somerset needs area. And there was a bunch of stuff in the packet for you guys that took and showed a lot of, showed budgeted costs, showed some of the conceptual designs. We've been working very closely with the land bank on this because the land bank owns a lot of the property that was directly adjacent to this, this needs area. They own all the low-lying area in that general area. So we need a place for a pump station. So we're trying to work very closely with the land bank. We have also kind of looked out at the potential of maybe trying to purchase a couple of properties on Bartlett Road that we could site a pump station on the front side, would also give us housing. Again, a lot of this stuff's in conceptual stages right now. The 47 million for the next out year, I don't think we'll be at that stage. We got a lot of planning to do, and if we can work very closely with the land bank and get some property, it's near a wetland, so there's going to be a lot of permitting. We do have a preliminary roadway design, because not only is this just a sewer project, it's going to end up being sewer, stormwater, and roadway improvements, as well as water. A short piece of it's going to be a water project. We have conceptual designs from Weston and Sampson and Fuss and O'Neill that shows the new layout for Raceway. There's a lot on the corner of Raceway and I forget the name of that lot called cul-de-sac. Bartlett. Yeah, Bartlett.
Clara Drive?
No, it's not
Yeah.
Clara. It goes into Clara, yeah.
And there's a lot there that the town's been looking to try to do something with the property owners, so we can make that a nice sweeping curve. And I think
It's the corner of Bartlett and Raceway.
Right.
The
yes,
inside
yep,
corner, yeah.
and I believe that's being worked on by Ken Bogram when he was doing it, and then Tucker and everything. So there's a corner lot there that we're working on. Again, this has been on the needs area project list, as it's a highly nitrogen sensitive area with poor soils, and water's already in numerous spots of the area, but not completely. And Raceway has been a flooding issue for many years, so this is all getting incorporated together.
Hey. Yeah, just looking at the map, that's a pretty large area, big project.
It is,
Now,
and that
just-
would end up being a hybrid system,
Yeah.
like we did out in Shimo. You're going to have some areas that are going to be gravity. We're hoping to get, if we can get the lowest lot on Bartlett Road to put a pump station on, we'll be able to put the gravity line out further, much further, so we don't have to have so many pumps. That's what we're trying to look at. We had even considered trying to go across the golf course over to Mizzenmast and then just building one bigger station to replace an old station, but we can't go across land bank property because of some conservation restrictions that are on there. So now we have to come up with a parcel to put a pump station on. So that, like I said, the fiscal 26 says $47 million. That is most likely, I can almost guarantee that's going to be pushed out at least another year. But right now, it's just been on there for a few years. So,
But you do anticipate the 5.4 in fiscal year 25 to get that planning and design.
Most likely go into design planning and get that out to bid and everything. Yes.
Yeah, got it. Okay. Any questions on this big apple? No? Well, I'm sure there will be a lot more in the future, but I think we're good in here for now.
Okay.
Which I think puts us at Sconset area sewer redesign and reconstruction.
Yeah, this next one is big. And this Sconset was part of the initial years of CMOM. So we have in fact cambered all of Sconset, and we have gone through the design phases, and we're now looking at the primary and priority roads out in Sconset. The unique thing with Sconset that some may not know is at one point in time, almost all the frontage across Low Beach Road and McKinley and those were all owned by a giant hotel that was out there. So we have town sewer mains that go through people's basements, across properties and everything else. So what's going to end up happening on this redesign is relocating all these town infrastructure. One of the big things we want to try to relocate is the main sewer line that runs along the face of the bluff between the summer house and the bistro is where the town's sewer main runs right now, currently on that face, which coastal bank, velocity zone with erosion and stuff like that. We want to be able to redesign the whole sewer system, bring that sewer down towards the Milestone Road and come into the backside of the facility. So we get that sewer line out of any harm's way for any kind of erosion and damage. Besides, most of Wisconsin is 6-inch tile clay pipes. Some of it's octagon pipe, some of the neatest 5-inch stuff you've ever seen. But that's just how they did it in Wisconsin, and we have to clean up. It's a big mess out there. It really is. So we are already in design stages for certain parts of this, as well as looking at the beds. This year alone was one of the first years in the past 12 years. We actually had some pretty significant erosion in front of the beds. Up until a couple of years ago, I mean, we've had accretion up to almost 200 feet in front of the beds. And this year, our 100-foot monument bound is just about at the high tide mark. So we've had a ton of shifting sands out there. Next year, it could build back a 75 feet. But we need to look at the whole picture as one. That's why this number is pretty substantial.
Okay. Anybody in the room want to take a first whack at it? Anybody? No? David, I'm just curious. So, I mean, it says for redesign and reconstruction. I mean, 12 million sounds like a lot. When you look at 108 and 120 Baxter Road, sewer design and construction, that's 10 million for kind of a short run of Baxter Road. So, I mean, is the 12 million, is that a reasonable amount for this entirety of this project?
It is. And I still think that the 10 million for Baxter is probably much higher than it needs to, but there were so many unknowns, and there's still unknowns that we don't know about yet. That so there is a cushion in that 10 million. That could could be half of that, but could be and have to go back to special meetings or whatever like that. We're just keeping that number where it has been. We have dropped it a couple $1 million over one of the 2 years, but and more to come on the erosion and on both Surfside and Sconset. Like I said, we're less than 100 feet now to our fence here at Surfside. We've lost that much out front. So this $12 million does include some design. I'm sorry, and I'm looking at them. I'm mixing these two up. Next one is coastal erosion, 500,000. That's for engineering of what we're going to do. We have already sent a letter to Mass DEP to see if we are able to take beds 1, 2, and 3, which are the 3 closest to the ocean, and take them offline.
I'm sorry, are you talking about the next request now? Are you talking about
request? Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah,
okay.
It just was.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay, so just to put a bow on the Sconset reconstruction. So it sounds like that number is realistic. Obviously, massive undertaking if it covers all of Sconset, because it's, to your point, it's 100-year-old clay, and probably a variety of different issues where pipes are located, where you have to get to them, where you're going to redirect them. So
that's based on an engineer's estimate too. So yes.
Yeah. And fiscal year 25 will be far enough down that path to warrant keeping it in 25.
Yeah, as we're already working on design for it. So we're just moving along. We might be able to do a third of Sconset coming up next cycle coming up. Like we're already doing work at the new street, Coffin Street and Sankaty Road, that intersection there that's getting all redone. There's a little bit of sewer work in there. So
right.
little pieces of that come out of these projects. So That's getting ready to start pretty soon, so.
Probably have a good 8-month window to get work done out there.
Yes, yes. Oh, yeah, and they're ready to go.
Yeah.
They keep asking us how we're doing, so.
Gotcha. Okay, great. Yeah, sorry to cut you off from the coastal erosion, Surfside and Sconset discharge beds, but feel free to jump into those.
No, okay, I just was trying to take and move some along here for you so that you just
Yeah.
take and.
Yeah.
So the next one, again, we're looking at some pretty significant erosion. I have already asked DEP to be able to take the first 3 beds offline and that would give us the ability to fill those beds, which would give us some coastal, what should I say? Coastal structure or whatever, but it's all outside any of the Concom areas, so we're inside the fence. There'd be no outside the work fence if the erosion continues the way it is. It'd give us a little bit more of a cushion. So that's all the engineering, and we have 15 beds at Surfside. Each one's rated at 4 million gallons a day. We don't need 15. We could operate with 13 without any limitation. So
Interesting.
that's what that's about.
Anybody in here?
Just,
Christie?
David, is there room to expand if you need those beds back online?
Yes, I don't know if you've been out here anytime recently, Christy, but down at the back, we call it the back 40, down towards the MyComet parking lot, is where we have giant mounds of loom from all town projects. We've been storing a lot of material here. That material would all be put into those beds to fill them, and then that would give us area back there to add 3 beds if we had to, all inside the fence. We wouldn't have to go outside the fence. So that's our thinking based on where we are right now.
And was it in the last, say, what, 5 years that we did an expansion at the wastewater treatment plant with additional beds?
2008.
2008. Okay, so 5 years ago. Okay, and I'm guessing those were ones furthest away from, the erosion zone right now.
Yeah, the beds that were added new were closest to the building. So the ones that are on the ocean side are original beds, early 70s.
Yeah, so in a sense, we'll be
Retreating.
kind of retreating. Yeah, we'll be filling up the ones closest to the erosion, making space to expand further away, and then, that's.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Makes sense.
And we also have, over to the east side of the facility, there's 6 more acres of land over there that's completely wooded behind our housing. And in my picture, my background, it shows our town housing. We have 6 more acres still towards the beach for it, and it's already zoned and designated for wastewater expansion if we ever need it. So it's our forefathers definitely were doing some thinking ahead for us.
Great. Yeah, I walk out there often. Great. All right. Well, sounds like there's a good plan set there. Good options. I guess next would be Surfside Maintenance and Administration Facility Supplemental Funding.
Yes, this is we had some appropriations over the past couple of town meetings that we can build a maintenance administration facility combined. Approximately going to be about 87 by 100 building, so we can get the $2.5 million worth of equipment we have sitting outside, everything indoors, everything climate controlled, and have our admin facility attached to the front of that building for public access compared to what we're using now. Would also open up we're going to have a significant meeting room in there, as well as proper showers and facilities for the staff. Right now, we are using the old admin building. For those that may have been out here, that originally was the electric building, and then it went to then it was a laboratory, and now we're using it for an admin facility. So that would end up going reverted back to another small meeting space, or it would be staff showers and everything like that. So because of the cost of construction that we're seeing, based on numbers that we've seen come out of our Island Home and other town projects as examples, this would put us at about a total of 13 million, which still am gonna try to do it for much lower than that. If we can proceed the way we hope to be able to proceed, doing a lot of the groundwork ourselves because we have the equipment and manpower, getting ready things for concrete, et cetera, like that. I'm hoping that we can build, and it most likely is going to be a steel building that will either have to be sheathed and shingled, or the HTC might let us have a industrial style building out here. That we could go a very large garage.
So we have 6 million previously appropriated, it sounds like, and this is an additional 7 million.
Yes.
Got it. Anybody in the room? No? Yeah, I mean, based on everything you guys have going on and how important the sewer department's work is, I think it would probably be appropriate for you guys to, have a halfway decent, building, garage, maintenance, kind of everything to operate out of and keep things going efficiently, because I don't think the work that you're doing is going to slow down anytime soon. So,
and we got to get our equipment indoors. The town has spent an awful lot of money on these specialty trucks, and most of them are sitting outside.
And within a mile of, spray coming off the south side of the island anytime there's a southerly blow. So,
yeah, so that's my biggest thing. We've got to protect the town's investments.
Yeah, seems like there's a big push across a lot of departments to get their equipment inside and save us money in the long term. Hopefully it saves money in the long run. Okay, if there's no questions in here, then I can jump a couple down.
Yeah, this is another sewer extension. Hummock Pond area north. That is a listed needs area since 2004. That is a very high nitrogen sensitive area, as well as extremely poor soils. It encompasses most of Hummock Pond Road. It goes ahead and it includes this burnt swamp all the way down in through Hawthorne Lane to the backside of Duke's, goes all the way over towards the Matticat Road, all along the backside of, I always forget the name of that little road that's down off of Millbrook. There's a
Paradise?
there's a little cul-de-sac down in there that I know that the old fire chief, Mark McDougal, lived down in there.
Oh, yeah,
is it Par-
forest or something forest.
If it's
Yeah.
not Deer Run, I think it's probably Paradise.
Deer Run.
Is it Deer Run?
Deer Run's included as well. Then it's a large area, very poor soils and very high nitrogen area, as is the Somerset needs area. So this is design and everything. Initially, probably 3 years ago, you used to see Matticat on here all the time. Matticat needs area, and that number was, I think, close to $80 million back then. Matticat water quality has actually improved some. So we have kind of taken and pulled Matticat out for a little while to see if their water quality continues to improve. And with a lot of the IA septic systems that have been installed out there, things look pretty good. So Matticat has been pushed kind of off the chart for right now, unless something changes drastically with PFAS or other issues or whatever like that. So these other ones like Somerset, My Comet, Hummock Pond, and the Hummock Pond South, these are all listed needs areas. However, they have been moved up on the priority list. A lot of septics in these areas are failing. Probably 80% of the septics in these areas are really having some hard times. So, so that's hopefully we're going to start into plan. We've already done a master plan for this area, so we'll be able to look into everything lot by lot. So we have that's still part of our conceptual sewer design for Somerset. We'd have to build Somerset before we could do Hummock Pond. So that's why these are listed on the list the way they are.
And so Somerset would have to be completed before Hummock Pond North?
The construction would have to be all completed before Hummock Pond North or South was to be built. Because originally Matticat was going to go through there, and now the way it's looking, we're gonna be picking up Somerset, Hummock Pond North and South. So
And-
it would be built with stubs for future connections, and now I hear there's a bike path going down Somerset. That we
Right.
may potentially end up putting some sewer in underneath that bike path, so.
Yeah,
That's what it was designed. It's already been designed to put sewer under that bike path.
Yeah.
correct.
So,
Yeah, it's been on the book for a few
Yeah.
years. Yeah,
and it's gonna be good. That's being able to work along across these projects the way we're working lately has been such a help. Especially when we know what's going on with water, sewer, stormwater, electrical, and now with bike paths. It's been really good. It really has.
Mhm. Keep everyone working under the same effort. Yeah, interesting. Hummocks Pond North. So I'm just looking at the requests and the years they fall in. So it looks like the Somerset needs and the Hummock Pond area north are kind of, I mean, based on the calendar, would happen at the same time. Is it just, appropriating the funds in 26 for construction of Hummock Pond North, even if it's not gonna really get done until after?
Yeah, it
Summer-
would most likely 27 or thereabouts. Somerset's gonna take us a little while.
Yeah, that's what
Um,
I think.
But again, these have been carried out for a few years anyways, so I can work with Sue and we can probably stagger these a little bit better. We can probably move Hummock Pond out, the construction part of it out to 27.
Right.
But
And then,
Yeah.
and south to 28, something like
yeah,
that.
and these are definitely flexible, and everything we put in the ground for one project will have the ability to tie into all these other projects. Will have the capacity and the expansion capability for
Hmm.
these.
Good,
Um,
great order of operations.
Actually, one question.
Yeah, Jill.
David, do you have a long list of, properties that you need to like get them on board?
reasons and stuff.
I mean, some people, I'm not saying that people don't want to go on, sewer, but
a lot of what we're gonna need,
New
For
you're
example-
gonna have to go through zoning and put a lot of this stuff in the sewer district, right?
well, most of the needs areas are already in the district.
Okay.
And
I
I
know.
honestly believe that anything's listed in a needs area that's been in the CWMPs should be automatic. We should have put it in years ago. I don't know why it wasn't. But this area, most of Somerset was put in when Matticat was planned to come through.
Okay,
Mhm.
The biggest thing we might need will be when we come off a raceway and we turn on to Clara, that's private. So we'd have to have easements all along Clara,
Yeah.
just a utility easement down the road for the sewer.
Okay.
Same thing on, what is it, Henderson,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Doc Ryder, all those we would have to go. And we would go ahead and work again with Vicky Marsh again on all those areas that we would need to run utility easements down.
Yeah,
okay.
And then the way we do it, we would do it exactly like we did Shimmer. We would send out letters to all residents asking them where they want their stub and how many stubs would they like. We normally put 2 stubs at every lot. Just as we go by, we put 2 stubs there. If people would need more or want more, they have to pay an extra fee. But we try to work very closely before we put a shovel in the ground with all the homeowners to know where their water is or their septic is, so we can put the stubs in the right place.
yeah.
David, curious, is Millbrook private or public road right now?
We don't plow it or anything. We don't even maintain it. I still think it's private, but it was, again, there's probably going to be an easement issue there
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
to run
there's
all the
a
way through.
big portion of Hummock Pond North that at least gets to that bend in Hummock Pond or in Millbrook Road.
Yeah, up by Burnt Swamp. Yes, yeah, and that
Uh,
and just beyond there.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's even much further than I was thinking, that bend more the
Yeah.
that parcel that the land bank just bought, I think from the Larrabees or the Orozco's. Because I know there's also a plan, I think, for someone to run sewer through an easement from, is it Hummock Pond Road across what used to be the Larrabees land that the land bank owns now?
Yes, Marty
Which what-
McGowan was going to run a line down to Pumpkin
Pumpkin
Pond. I think it's Pumpkin
Yeah.
Pond.
Yeah.
through there, and then there's a couple of people on Millbrook that have some failed systems that are trying to. They want to be able to connect to that line that Marty has put in, and luckily, and when we had him put it in, we made him. It was designed for some capacity to expand it if we had to.
So there's already a line run there.
They had put the stub and everything in, and I believe Marty had that. They had the line run all the way down to that
Parking lot.
home. It's right around that berm there. There's a berm in
Hmm.
the middle of the field.
Okay, interesting. So they wouldn't necessarily be thinking or trying to speak to you guys about, incorporating that into an offshoot of this My Comet North needs area.
I think that would be more complicated than
Yeah.
going up to either running all the way straight through Burnt Swamp or
Yeah.
going down to Millbrook at Hummock Pond and running in that way.
Gotcha.
I think it would be less complicated, those other routes.
Okay. Yeah, just the first I've seen of this, but I was aware of what Marty was doing, so I figured
Yeah.
somebody.
It's in the sewer district is what we're
Oh.
saying already.
Yeah, already.
Yeah.
Right.
And the burn swamp got added.
Yeah, I did want to ask about that. Can I ask about that? The burnt swamp getting added?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm asking just because I know that land was sold to the land bank, so I didn't know. Was that
Yeah,
just, it was planned before that?
yeah, we had
purchase?
the article was put in before that, but it doesn't account for most of that land. I think 70% or more of that land they just bought is not buildable. It's all wet.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any plan for them to design anything or build anything there.
No.
This was just for the existing homes that are on that stretch.
Exactly.
And any potential build what they have.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Any other questions on this one? No. Otherwise, keep it going. David, we're good.
All right, next one down is to purchase a new 10-wheel dump truck with a plow and sander. We are supplemental to the DPW. We help them out on all their major routes. And our existing truck that we have now, 10 years, 12 years old. So this will bring in a new truck, and hopefully we'll have a building to put this truck in so it'll last 15, 20 years. So that's what this purchase is. It's to take and we're doing a lot of construction work ourselves now on projects. So this will be working on job sites and construction as well as assisting the town in plowing.
Okay. Looked at the specs, and this is all electric, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Don't know if you're gonna find one of those.
No, believe it or not, there's some out there, but I don't know what they're
well,
plowing snow. I don't know how long the
It's gonna be
battery would
hard.
last.
sewage powered. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be great. Burns, yep, clean
Yeah.
burning.
There we
great.
go.
And so you said that this is to replace an existing that's kind of hit its useful life.
Yes, yeah, this is the truck that we use now is used for sludge hauling and everything. It's actually a roll-off truck. And the roll-offs are starting to rot out, and we have to continually replace roll-offs. So this will be supplemental to the fleet that we have now, to be able to do a lot more work than what we're doing. So
Well, if we ever get any snow around here, it'll be put to good use, I'm sure.
Just read
Oh, yeah.
this. Just to get-
the next one
Here's-
down is a new loader backhoe, and what we are going to be looking at,
Yeah.
which is a little different than the path we went quite a few years ago, is we're going to be looking for a wheeled excavator. And the reason for that is everything that we haul now, us, the DPW, everyone, as soon as you put a Bobcat or something on the trailer, it automatically classifies it as a Class A vehicle. And we have very limited, we only have 2 drivers here, and there's only, I think there's 2 at the DPW. So we're looking to go for the wheeled so we wouldn't have to have a trailer, a dump. We wouldn't have to have extra equipment hauling stuff around. This
Got it.
vehicle would be able to drive down the road, and it's pretty. What we're looking at basically is a Mechalek.
Yeah.
It's got extremely high
Versatile.
limits of lifting and everything else like that. It can pick up a manhole, the set of manholes. So I actually did find an electric version of this,
Yeah.
but it was $800,000.
I was gonna say, twice as much.
Yeah,
And
really,
it's
I'm guessing you don't get a return on that.
and it's actually used for railroads out in the West. And
Wow.
I happened to find it online, and I got a price, and I'm like, okay, thank you,
Yeah,
I'm good with that.
maybe.
Uh,
Yeah, wait for
Right
those
when
to
they don't have any gas.
come down a little bit.
Yeah.
Interesting. And so did it, is this to add to the fleet or to replace an existing tracked?
This would bring in, we have a small Cat 305 that doesn't have the lifting capacity. The
Yeah.
305 would still be used for small roads and trench digging, but this would
See.
give us a more versatile vehicle.
Yeah, a little bigger, but it will, so it's essentially adding to the fleet.
Adding
So-
to the fleet, yes.
Nothing you said, David, I have to go.
Oh,
Nope. Let the minutes show, yeah, Brooke is unfortunately departing.
did Jill leave too?
No, Jill's just helping. I think she has to move. the car.
Oh,
But no, Jill is still with us. Okay, great. Well, yeah, and I've seen, I don't know if it's Kobo or I think it
Yeah.
might be Robert
Co-
Out. Yeah, they have a Mechalak that they use for everything.
pretty impressive machine. It actually
Yeah.
acts as a Bobcat style. It's
Yeah.
it's extremely versatile and has one heck of a rated lifting. And the brochure should be in the packet that goes through it.
Yeah. Yep.
Very, very neat machine. And I think it will serve a lot of needs that the island needs for us. So
Well, and again, whatever we do to make it easier for you guys to do what you do, because you guys do a lot. So that sounds like a worthwhile request. I think that's in here on that one. So if you want to.
yeah. Do we need to wait for Jill to come back so you have a quorum? Or?
It's technically might be out of.
Yeah, you've established your coordinates.
Yeah, I mean, she's-
Meeting, so
Okay.
we can
She's
continue.
still here, right?
Okay.
Technically. Oh,
Wanna
well,
make
we got
sure.
one more on.
Was,
Yeah, the,
Oh,
so-
Christy, yeah, Christy's there. So I didn't say,
Oh, yeah, we got Christie.
Sit in the back. Is that in here? I didn't see the last one we discussed, the backup.
The new loader backhoe. Is it
Yeah.
in here on the?
it is.
Stories.
I would have to look.
it's not on
Should be in there.
Okay, I just didn't,
Under sewer.
Sorry about that.
hey, you don't.
I met with David before, but
I know, I meant to ask who, if anybody was the liaison, so I should have.
me and Howard, where is Howard?
I don't know. I didn't hear anything from Howard.
We had a great meeting
So,
when they
is this-
came out.
It
Really good.
was so helpful. I felt like you guys should go out you should go out and see everything. It's,
Yeah, if you haven't, it's well worth it.
yeah. So,
Yeah, Sue, I'm not sure if I'm seeing this one either. Searching directly for it.
I just looked at it and somehow it got approved. So I will make sure it goes back into capital committee review. David.
How fortunate for David.
Yeah,
Ah,
Okay, Chrissy, thanks for catching that. David, I think we can jump on to the SCADA and PLCs.
yeah, the new one is that this next one that's up is something that's it's a critical path for everything that we do. The programmable logic controllers are all the plants are mostly automated most of the time, and SCADA. The big thing that's pushing this more than anything is, and Sue was at the meeting, we just had CISA down and Homeland Security and a bunch of people that scared the heck out of us as far as security. Vendors that can dial into our system, because all of our systems are maintained remotely. And when the Homeland Security guy says, well, integrators are your worst trouble, and it's like, that's the only way we work. We have a lot of integrators install our stuff. So this is going to upgrade and bring our technology into the safety zone, so that what we have now is outdated. It doesn't have any security logic in them. I mean, they really, I know Sue was there at the same time, but I came back to the plant after the meeting and I actually turned stuff off and unplugged it from the internet. Because they really were like, hey, this can happen, that can happen. I'm like, so I came right back and I started plug stuff. So this is to bring us into the realm of security and safety, because we rely very heavily on vendors and integrators to do all of our remote assistance. And I don't know how Sue felt after that, but those guys can put the fear into you, for no doubt about it.
yeah.
Well, I'm sure this is the type of stuff that really, you got into the business for, right? Not the soaring and the machinery and everything, but, security software and firewalls.
Wow, I mean, and especially they talked a lot about what happened to the school, and it really hit home. I know with me.
Yeah.
So it's scary. It really is.
Sounds like, you guys got good, consultation on it because, I mean, it's complicated stuff and it's more important than ever. And whether it's banking, healthcare, municipalities, hospitals, it's kind of across the board and it's an unfortunate thing that everybody has to kind of get on board with. So,
And they test us all. They send out emails all the time, trying to trick us and surprise us and everything like that. And
issue.
it's pretty bad. So
Sounds like a worthwhile request, necessity almost. Christie, in the house.
David, is there an opportunity or is it worth spending more this year and maybe next year to try to wrap this up in 2 years? Instead of seeing it go out 4 years?
we could, Christie, for sure. We just had the engineers were just here on Tuesday, and they were out at Sconset evaluating Sconset because we have 2 plants we have to do, plus our big pump stations. So could we move the, like, say 20, maybe combine 2 years together at this first year? It might make sense.
I mean, to his point, if it's something where you had 250,000 in 2025, could you get it all done in 1 year? Or is it spread out for a reason? Because it seems like when it comes to security, that the sooner the better if it's all the same cost over time.
Yeah.
And you know that 50,000's
Gonna
gonna go
be
up.
55 to 60
Yeah.
to 70. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to try to, I know we had some other big ones on here that we would, I just was trying to spread it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
I mean,
start with 100,000 or 150,000 the first year and see where we end up. I mean, Sconset plan alone's probably gonna, and we have some money left over from an upgrade out there. But like you said, as soon as you buy a computer, within a year, they're already outdated?
18 months, I think, is the power doubles or something like that. Yeah, I mean, even if you combine the 5 years, you'd be at 250, which would still be the lowest request for all of 2025. And
Yeah.
Could we make a request just for him to just look into that?
yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll work with Sue on that. We can put it together.
I would say it'd be highly supported on our end because, at least from the banking worlds, it's like every day that goes by where you're less secure than you could be is a day that you're open to more risk than you otherwise need to be.
Yeah.
And that
Okay.
long as it's.
Yeah, exactly. Well, exactly. I mean, if in 2027, something happened that, could have been avoided with 28 and 29's appropriations having already been put in place, you're going to be paying $50,000 to kind of fix what you have yourself exposed for. So I'd say it would be encouraged. On our end.
I'll work
Good-
with Sue on that for sure.
Yeah.
I know
And
it.
assuming that
Yeah.
the engineers can accommodate and,
Yeah.
fast track whatever they were going to take 5 years to
Okay.
upgrade. Great.
Oh, perfect.
So
That
that's
Pretty
the
much
last-
wraps it up.
Yeah, that's the
Sewer.
last for 2025. Obviously, we're an hour in. Does anybody have any out year requests that they're looking at, that necessarily? Yeah, I mean, if there's any in particular, David, that you want to put on our radar or anything, elevator pitch for the out years. But I mean, otherwise, it seems like, you
Well, what
spoke
we're,
on most of them.
what we're going to be looking at probably in a couple of out years, maybe some more pump station stuff. Might be something might happen at the plant that we don't, we just don't know about. That could come in as a high ticket item, $75,000, $100,000, $200,000. It's happens. Every day we have something break. We actually had an issue this morning that we solved within a couple hours. So it happens. I for one don't want to continue to do 4 large projects a year because it's just I still have hair left so far, but I would like to see a little bit of a slowdown come up, especially for some of these big projects. I mean, this force main project is still going to go out another 2 years at least.
Oh, yeah.
We're getting into some real tight, critical areas here. Atlantic, Pleasant, all these
Yeah.
small streets. So we're really gonna be heavily on those. Plus we're, with stormwater coming up, we're gonna be working on a lot of those projects too. So, and the stormwater is 120, 125 years old compared to the sewers. So,
I guess just actually, because we didn't really touch on it through any of the other discussion, but real quick, the PFAS removal and treatment, any high level, and I'm sure that's on the.
that's a bad word these days, but yeah, I can touch on that. I'm actually on the town's task force, PFAS task force, along with other town department heads. The big problem with PFAS, it's in everything. We now have, we're just starting on next week. We're starting our year 2 testing. We are testing our wastewater. We're testing all of our pump stations. We're testing every stream that comes into the facility, so we know where's it coming from, where are our high loads. What we're finding, our high loads so far have been landfill leachate and carpet cleaners. Those have been our 2 biggest impacts that we're seeing. What that happens is we dewater it, we treat it, we take it to the landfill, it goes on the cell, we haul it back here. It's a vicious circle, round and round, with PFAS. We're seeing it happen now with water mains. All of a sudden, we're having to extend a water main because we just had wells test over 1,000 parts per trillion. If we continue to look for it, we're going to find it. It's in the soils, it's in our jackets, our clothes, it's in everything.
Yep.
What we're looking for, and we did get an appropriation a couple of years ago, is we were going to try to look at a pilot program of PFAS destruction for the island. It wasn't just going to be for wastewater. We're going to have to do something about PFAS coming up. We can't collect it because we can't ship it off island. It's cost prohibitive. And a lot of the places that were taking sludge from plants that had it in it have shut down. So now you have to keep going further and further out west or Canada or wherever. Makes sense to me to try to find a technology that will destroy it safely and everything else. The one problem they're starting to run into now is a lot of these pilots can say, oh yeah, we can get rid of 98.9, 99%, 100% destruction of PFAS, but now the environmental protection agent is, well, where's it going? It's going into the air. What's that exhaust doing, or what's the byproduct of this? What's it causing for issues? It can decrease our sludge production, our sludge capacity by 40-50% of what we have to take to the landfill. The same technology can destroy all our single-use plastics. It gets mixed into the same process. So we want to work together with DPW, landfill, or something like that. If we're going to do a pilot technology, let's do something that will help everybody at the same time. But it's only going to get worse, and there's a lot of towns, a lot of states that they won't even mention the word. They don't want to know yet. Well, we're already testing for it because we needed to know what was hitting us. And year 2 starts next week, and we're getting some really, really good data. It's like the COVID testing data that we still do. It's data that we need for Nantucket to make some really good choices going forward.
And so to your point, there was 2.5 million appropriated in 2023, and then this 10 million in 2026 placeholder might be 26, might be pushed out further, and might be 10 million, might be significantly more.
And the reason for that is the 2.5 million would be to initiate a pilot project.
Yeah.
That's what it would cost for mobilization, everything like that. After the test period that proves its technology and worth, we would have to buy that equipment. Or if it didn't work, we'd just send it away. But that's why it's out a couple of years.
That makes sense.
That 10 million, if we had to purchase it. So.
And then that would be run by sewer department or some other department and be an ongoing cost to operate that technology.
Most likely, it makes sense to have it here. But the landfill's also looking at some different technologies without our involvement, which at some point in time we'll all get together on stuff.
Exactly.
Okay. Christie in the house.
David, at the beginning of this item, you had mentioned, some of the big offenders. Do you know what they're doing now to sort of accommodate, sort of PFAS mitigation, if you will, but, just curious to know if there's, what they're doing now.
Yeah, I know the landfill is looking at a couple of different types of technology than what we were looking at. The one way to treat PFAS and leachate is with carbon filters. You run the leachate through the carbon filters. It eliminates most of the PFAS in the stream that would come here for treatment. The problem comes now, what do you do with the carbon? I think the airport's having that issue now with all the POET systems is people are changing out their filters, but now it's a hazardous, what do you do with it? So that's why we want a technology that will also destroy that carbon and be able to treat it. So we got to look at something that's going to serve the two purposes. That total destruction of PFAS and, it's going to take and really take and drop our sludge capacity down and, by 30-40%, if not more, take what we take to the landfill, which would reduce what we're bringing back to the treatment plant. So, the one thing that we're looking at on the carpet cleaner stuff is, it's in all the carpets. It's on furniture. Scotchgard is one of the biggest.
Original.
It's everywhere, and especially I've said they're cleaning some of these older rugs, and we were only testing trucks that carried 100 gallons, and we were getting super high numbers. Granted, they don't come in every day for millions of gallons, but it was an impact that we saw right out of the gate. CDM Smith, who's the town's consultant with PFAS, will be coming out with a report shortly that's going to break down the raw data so everyone can understand it. And that's going to be very important for Nantucket's planning going forward, of how we're going to proceed.
Got it. Good, Christie? Answers?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Something I didn't want to ever learn about,
Trying to
but
figure out like what.
No, I'm just trying to figure, like,
What the carbon filter
if
should be
like,
doing.
if this, the sewer department, do you have to deal with everything because it ends up, at your facility? Or do
Yeah.
we know how to sort of, I don't know, it's just,
well, we everything ultimately ends up here. But what we're doing now, year one, we tested both treatment facilities and the major pump stations that pump directly to the plant. This next phase of testing is going to go from those pump stations. Now we're going to spider web out to see if we can see if it's coming down a specific street, coming down is it coming from the laundromat, the hospital? I mean, that's our next thing that we're going to be looking at.
Right.
Trying to find out, we're going to start to pinpoint even closer to where this is coming from. And then ultimately maybe have to they might have to do some treatment before it gets into the sewer system. So
Right.
this is step 2 we're coming into now. So it's been pretty neat, but
he's on it.
Yeah.
Big problem, big issue. I know Mass DEP has been doing a lot around the island and sewer and this task force and health department. So
yeah, we're all working so closely together, and
all hands on deck. Obviously, the airport doing their thing. So
yeah, the airport's had to run water all over the place, and we're still running water all over the place because of PFAS and the recent testing that just came out of Palms Way and Bayberry and stuff like that. I mean, those are some scary numbers.
900 PPT.
Yeah, and I mean, we have to put water down there now, no matter what. It's got to be done. So.
Well, it's funny in a place like that because they're on sewer, but they're pumping water out of wells. So I mean, that's high level water coming in out of the wells and then going to the sewer department, which is the norm. But I could see how that would really impact the levels that you're seeing there. If it's town water coming in and going out to the sewer department, you would expect that to be low or zero. But wherever you find wells that are on sewer, it's a little bit of a difference.
I was up with Mass DEP on last week. We received a grant for stormwater, and I talked to the gentleman that's on the PFAS for the state, and they're still kind of baffled of why is this biggest test they just did? How come it's in a straight line? Tom's Way was some of the highest, and Bayberry is another one. Straight line testing, and they're getting these numbers, but on the other side of the street, they didn't get any numbers. So that it's a matter of trying to figure out where is this coming from?
Right.
And what was there 75 years ago?
Exact.
Electric company, the phone company. I mean, so
Yeah.
a lot of investigative work still to do.
With the stormwater grants being mentioned, good segue into stormwater requests. So just to recap my memory before we jump into these, stormwater is now kind of a sub-department of the sewer.
Yeah, it
department?
became an enterprise fund in
Yeah.
last town meeting.
Okay, right.
And I could kind of maybe just explain most of the stormwater kind of is one, just to give you kind of an idea of why there's so many requests this year.
Sure.
Some of these come back from the DPW days of some implementation inland. We're currently working again closely with Confound and Land Bank on Lily Pond, Constable Springs, Washington Street Extension. And because stormwater just became an enterprise fund, we're getting ready to create regulations and redesign stormwater regulations that there never was, which is going to give us the benefit of having a revenue stream to support the enterprise fund. If a developer goes and builds a subdivision and they have to tie into the town's infrastructure, well, now we're going to be able to assess fees for this, similar to what we do for sewer usage fees. So a lot of these initial requests are stuff that may have been on the books from DPW for quite a while ago. But right now, the ad for the stormwater manager has just gone out or is just going out. And the ultimate plan right now, as we look at it, is my current engineer that works for the suicide is going to move on to the stormwater to become the stormwater manager. He has been very instrumental in getting that SNEP grant with Land Bank. We just got a great grant together with the Land Bank for a lot of investigative work. We got a grant, to go out and start putting meters in, flow meters, to find out where everything's coming from. We started last year a CMOM program that incorporated the Children's Beach tributary area. That's ongoing. The guys are here again. They're still here this year. They just came back, and we're slowly trying to get to the areas we couldn't get to last year because of some flooding, high groundwater last year. And Charles, who's our engineer now, he's been working hand in hand with them. We've been down at Constable Springs with the Land Bank. Jeff just got the National Resources just got a grant for some downtown mitigation for stormwater and flooding and everything like that. That's going to work hand in hand with what we're doing. So there's a lot on here initially, but it's all going to get more defined once we get the stormwater manager in place, so that next year's budget, it won't be myself. It'll be the stormwater manager will be developing a better budget based on data we're getting now. So this was just a brand new year coming into it, and you'll see one of the larger ones on here is Somerset Raceway. Well, that is incorporating that's a huge drainage issue on Raceway, Somerset Lane, Somerset Road. That's all going to be not only sewer, but it's stormwater. So that's why these kind of, you can see those numbers are in there together.
So I was going to say, not surprising, a pretty big stack for 2025, given the infancy of the department. You kind of want to fund it well enough to hit the ground running, and then you can figure out, what we need going forward after we kind of get a foundation laid, in addition to what DPW's done in the past. I think if we want to just start running down from the top to bottom, we could probably start to just check off through, a lot of them. I think either equipment or, again, kind of preliminary, set the basis for what we're going to do forward. So
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, I can do that.
yeah.
The stormwater management plan implementation. This is something that, natural resources and health already came up with an illicit discharge regulation for pools and stuff like that. This planning implementation is going to include the development of our stormwater regulations, and implementing those regulations, and then implementing the plan that is coming out of what we're finding now in the fields, as far as the research, the camera work. I mean, we were just cameraing some lines the other day, cleaning some lines, and top of one of the pipes was gone. So the sidewalks coming into it. So so this is all stuff that it's in its infancy, but it's rearing its ugly head a lot, very quickly. We already had 3 collapses last year on North Beach Street that we had to fix. Just because the sand was basically holding everything together. So once we went in and cleaned everything set up, I failed, and sidewalks let go, holes on the road. So we're moving along with that information. Once we get the gentleman or a lady in place for our stormwater manager, then we're going to get into the stormwater implementation, which is going to include regulations, etc.
Good. Inland downtown, I mean, there's,
Again,
check those 2 off.
yeah, the downtown piece is just a little more complicated. That's why I specifically called out, because if we were to ever have an incident between the Steamship Authority and the Rotary, the Steamship Authority has like 6 outfalls on their property directly, that with any kind of incident within minutes, it's in the harbor. Tanker, whatever. The truck route now, every single drop of fuel comes to Nantucket by tank truck. And it goes along the whole entire truck route, which is all that downtown Washington Street extension implementation. And we're trying to figure out, what are we going to do in the future with our stormwater? Are we going to continue to allow it to go into the harbor? I know Mass Fisheries doesn't want that. Are we going to pump it to maybe reuse these beds out here as stormwater drainage? There's a plan going in the works right now with Lily Pond that we're going to be able to pre-treat a lot of that stormwater before it enters the harbor, based on open swales and bioswales, etc. So the downtown is very tough, because the downtown stormwater system was the original downtown sewer system until they separated them. So again, they go every which way. And so this downtown plan includes a lot of Brant Point, Eastern Street, Easy Street, Washington, all these flood prone areas. So one says inland and one says downtown, because they are very different.
Yeah, I definitely see a lot more stormwater downtown these days. Yes, Christie.
David, maybe like 10 years ago, I might be off. I know we did a lot of I&I work down at Brant Point, and I was just checking to see if how that is tying into the the new stormwater effort.
The project that they did back in it was a couple of years before that, the I&I implementation that they did, it did remove about 275,000 gallons a day of I&I. That initial project back in the day, that initial project included all open trench digging, a lot of dewater, and it was super expensive. 2 years ago, we did another I&I removal, and what we did this time was we lined everything. We left the existing pipe in place, ran a 50-year structural liner down them, and I was at C Street on Tuesday checking the numbers, and we're even seeing probably another significant 150,000 gallons or more a day decrease in II with just the lining that we just did.
Great.
So the I&I program that was initiated, say 10 years ago or whatever, we're really seeing the positive impacts now. That Eastern Street had 2 huge, it was like a fire hydrant was wide open, it was coming into the lines. As soon as we lined those, as we lost probably over 100,000 gallons a day just in II coming in.
Yeah.
And
Well,
every
where's-
sewer plan that we do has to, there is a component now by state regs that we have to have an I&I piece in every project that we do of how much I&I we pull out of the sewers.
Good.
So,
Okay. Okay.
we got showing here, Consul Springs. Consul Springs is in, they had permits and everything from, environmental, EPA, from the Army Corps and everything. However, a big piece of Consul Springs is right across from Cherry Street is a large outfall for all town roads that discharges directly into that wetland. And it goes all the way up to the school, Milk Street. I mean, it's a massive area that it covers. And you just recently saw us down there fixing the road. A catch basin was collapsing there. We found a couple of broken pipes. So what we're looking to do with Consul Springs is, what is our loading? How much is the town loading and impacting the harbor? So the stormwater study is going to include sampling, putting some flow monitors in to see when we get an impact storm, how many millions of gallons of water or thousands of gallons are we adding to the problem with nitrogen, heavy metals, etc. So these study areas and this is to find out based on sampling and flow monitoring that we're going to be doing here real soon. We just actually met with a company that's coming down in the coming months to start installing flow meters. So
Good.
again, hand in hand with Land Bank and DPW and everyone else. So
Actually, a question about that.
Question, Jill.
Do they write you a check or they like pay a vendor directly, or how does that work when you're coordinating with them?
yeah, the Land Bank will actually pay the vendor directly. They have that ability to do that. And you know, a lot of work we've done in-house, but now coming into the sampling, this grant that we just got is going to cover a lot of this sampling and the ability to purchase flow monitors and electronic automatic samplers. So you could take a sample at the beginning of the storm and every 5-minute interval during the storm. And then that data will all be used to say, okay, hey, the loading coming off Cherry Street is a 60% impact to the town's harbor. What are we going to do to treat it? Do we build bioswales to take and pre-treat it before it hits the consume, or do we send that water again somewhere else? So there's the stormwater has a lot of, I'm almost going to say sanitary sewers is easier than stormwater right now, but
Less options.
a lot to it.
And how much have they paid? Do you know how much money they've spent?
They've
Like
they
10
spent
grand?
they spent a ton, probably a couple of million by now, just with the permitting process and everything else that they went through. They had that muck master machine thing down there. They're doing cut and drip and that
Marshmaster.
Marshmaster, whatever it was. Yeah. So they have spent a lot. And we're just taking now really starting to get into Consul Springs. That's a huge impact to that wetland.
Gotcha.
Nice views over there now from Orange Street. Since they cut down all those.
It made a big difference. It really did. But it also made the difference that you could see how much the water was actually impacting that area on a high tide or a storm, right up to the edge of the road.
And those cute ducks.
And those ducks.
Yeah. Yep.
Those are very important.
They love Union Street and Orange Street.
I love them.
Yes, they do. Yeah, we're gonna have to next year. We're gonna be putting chicken wire inside our storm drain grates to prevent the falling down of the ducks that we had.
Oh, the great. Yeah, okay.
We had a lot of calls this year where ducks were actually falling in the storm drains.
Oh no, little baby ducks.
Yeah, and people were walking by saying, "Oh, we can hit ducks. We can hit." We pulled 8 out of once. So next year we're gonna prevent that. Try to prevent it. So
Good.
Natural selection.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, the 4 that fall down there.
That
is true. It's not their fault. Not their fault the drains are there. Very true. Okay. Well, we'll move on from Consul Springs. Thanks for the insights though. Looks like we have stormwater, CCTV and management. That one's probably pretty.
This is similar to a CMOM, which is listed below, but the management piece, this is some software that we're looking to get. based
Yeah.
on new technology, some CMMS planning out there. So this is all stuff that we're looking to move forward with. The next one after the CCTV was, there's some areas where the existing stormwater sewers are now, we cannot get into. Our trucks are just too big. So
Yeah.
we were looking at trying to find either a small jetter vac combination or what they call it an easement machine, where it's on its own, self-propelled on its own tracks. All you have to do is get water to it. Has a big hose on it and everything. So is it something we're gonna buy and next year? Probably not, because we're just trying to develop the department. But it's something that we were looking at.
Yeah.
Again, island-wide drainage improvements, that comes off of what should have been in the file on the EPG findings of some high priority projects that needed to be done. We've already knocked off quite a few of those projects ourselves in-house or with the help of a contractor. And we're going to continue this. We still have some pretty high areas of flooding that takes place every time it rains. So this is to continue on with already defined projects by our consultants.
And so are those kind of one-off, just place on the island where the infrastructure is just either degraded or it just is no longer functioning properly? You get heavy flooding whenever there is, halfway decent rainstorms.
Well, what we're finding is, especially along Cliff Road, for example, all the homes that have been recently built on Cliff Road by Sherburne Turnpike out towards Matticat, they've totally gotten away from all the wetlands that were in there, where all the water used to go is now trapped. It can't go anywhere.
Can't get to the wetlands.
So we have flooding at Cliff and Pilgrim. We just cleaned up that whole area, made it so the residents could get in there. We have another big one on Matticat Road at Dukes, right there in the valley at the bottom of the hill. There's been a lot of building on the right side of the road. That used to be an open pit where all the rain went. So that's one that we have to have come up and do. That one's a pretty substantial one because there's going to be a lot of work under the road to put infiltrators and stuff in. There was a list of like 19 projects on that should be in the documents.
And are those residents kind of calling in with issues in and around their neighborhoods? Or is it,
Oh, yeah, a lot of phone calls, phone calls. Plus, it's a safety hazard on some of them with the flooding. Raceway was one of them that we've gone out and done some preliminary maintenance and made some small repairs. It has improved it a lot, but there's still a couple of spots on Somerset that you almost think you're going to lose your vehicle because the roads. Now,
It's tight there too, so.
Yeah.
You can't swerve over any pothole there without hitting somebody. That
no.
road's easy.
So this is all stuff that we're looking at moving forward. So.
And it might be redesigns, it might be cleaning out catch basins, it might be cleaning out pipes. I mean, it sounds like each one's kind of unique in and of itself.
Yeah, unique. 42 Hummock Pond Road is one we've had a lot of issues with. When they put the bike path in, they installed some infiltrators along the bank. Well, over the years, the soils have gone away and the infiltrators frozen, broke, and shattered. So now every time it rains, it floods the poor lady's yard. But 25, 30 years ago, there was no house there. That was a natural wetland down towards Sylvia's Pond. So development is helping to create some of these issues for sure. Now we just have to solve. Now we just have to come up with solutions to fix them.
So the sewer's a solution. There you go.
And so I would imagine that one, I mean, obviously it's 2025, but we've probably been spending money on it already and we'll continue to be doing so going forward.
Yes, yeah, and we've been using our contractor that does a lot of our sewer work to help us with that, and we've gone in and we've actually done 4 of them ourselves. We did Pilgrim Road, we did one up on Plum Lane, we did one on Angola Street, and we fixed another one. We have catch basins all around the island that are failing. There's Geronimo's, West Creek Road, so that we're slowly fixing them as we can. So. Like I said, the Somerset Road one is on here again for stormwater because it's integral to the sewer and the roadway project. But it's separate, but it's integral to as far as funding.
Yeah, it's that looks like a major one.
Yeah.
I guess before we jump to that one, if we even really need to, but CMOM for stormwater, I think you kind of touched on it.
CMOM's gonna be just similar to sewer. Once we start now, we're probably not gonna be able to stop for many, many years. And, it's anytime we have a big development, say there's a big one going over on potentially on Sparks Ave. We're looking for that developer to take and replace a lot of the sewers in the area, but they're gonna be generating a lot of stormwater. What are we gonna do with it besides trying to treat it on site? Do we have them improve the area down towards D&B Auto? So the enterprise fund is going to be great for that piece of it because we can go at developers to help with that as we are nowadays for sewer. So up here at Surfside Crossing, again, they're building their own stormwater system on board, but sewer is going to be part of. We're looking for some fees from them to finish the sewer. So,
Christie, over here.
For David or Sue, is there any way to make, so CMOM for stormwater? I know we have the item number or the line item number or code. Is there any way to make that like S-CMOM or CMOM -S, just to clarify it from?
we could put SW or something past. Yeah.
Just, this is just for a quick visual reference. I'm not saying, just for something that when we're looking at, if it's in a paragraph, that we kind of rename it so it's relative to stormwater or sewer. Actually, probably it's the same letter.
Yeah.
So you probably have to do it something else, but
Very good point.
just something to think about.
Mhm.
In the name.
Sue and I have had probably 20 calls about CMOM on all the different past years and everything like that. That makes great sense, actually, great sense to somehow designate it.
With stormwater being a new enterprise fund, we need to get it set up in Plum that way. So then any projects he puts in will be coded appropriately. So we'll get those fixed.
Got it.
Yeah, I'd say whatever you come up with, but just some visual that sort of separates it.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Thanks, Christy.
Good suggestion. Jill, did you have a question or do you anyone to know? Okay. I think we're good on CMOM. Somerset Raceway, I know you just alluded to it, but do you have any more enlightenment?
Again, it just has to do with it's integral to the Somerset up and the other one, but it's strictly stormwater. So we were trying to just separate them. There's a lot of issues with stormwater in that general area. So a lot of issues.
Yeah, I can imagine for the $4 million price tag, that'll be a bigger than the normal stormwater improvement project.
It is. It's very big.
Yeah. Okay. And anybody else on that one? Nope. It looks like we're good in here.
And next one was for a 350 utility truck with plow or an equivalent type vehicle. That would be for the stormwater manager engineer to do a lot of the field service stuff. The enterprise fund, that stormwater enterprise fund does not have any vehicles. That would be the first vehicle to put into the fleet. Right now, we're using our vehicles as we can, but that's what that is for.
Okay. You say it would be the engineer's truck or the stormwater manager or director's truck?
It would be that the stormwater manager engineer is going to be kind of the same person in
Gotcha.
In line, but that will give him the ability to take all the equipment around with him or her. So
right.
This next one, and I put in the packet, I believe you guys saw it. Just a recent incident with us with DigSafe having very poor experiences lately with DigSafe. That one alone cost us almost 30 grand. So we're looking to get a piece of equipment called ground penetrating radar. So that we can go out if we have to do our own. We just hit wires again the night of the town meeting, unmarked. They weren't shown on any plans, and the guys took out primary to a house. With this kind of equipment, we can go in and ground penetrate the radar and map it real time with GPS, so we know exactly where that's one of the biggest problems we're finding is we do not know where a lot of the force main sewers. stormwaters go. We just don't know where they are. This will be a huge tool in getting all that information up on the town's GIS. So everyone has access to it.
So that would be part of this request and use this equipment would also be kind of in conjunction with GIS.
It's ultimately would be loaded into GIS. It could be used
Awesome.
for to help the sewer out, could help the water out, DPW. I mean, it'll be
Yeah.
a real handy tool to have. So we don't have any of these $30,000 hits on unmarked utilities.
Yeah, and then GIS, I mean, the more accurate information provided there, you know, I mean, that's a great resource open to the public and.
We've got
obviously-
some pretty good improvements coming to GIS. It's really going to be all the
Ooh.
water shape files are going to be coming pretty soon. The sewer files are coming pretty soon. We're going to really start to get the GIS going with all the shape files and stuff that we've already gotten. So
Can tell you're
Yeah,
as
eliminate-
excited as I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Eliminate
it
the-
helps. No,
I was gonna say, eliminate the cost of making the repairs, like that primary to that house.
Yeah, put it towards
This-
the
This is a
equipment.
no-brainer.
Mm-hmm. 3 of those equals the price of the equipment, so,
Right.
Yeah,
yeah, Barry.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I might suggest is move it into a high priority thing, given the cost of what it is versus the benefit of what you're gonna get out of it.
Mm.
I think it's a clear way just to communicate to us. I just,
Might be
Yeah.
better than a low priority.
your 4 or 5 minutes worth of it just sold me on why that's something that we should do. So I would advocate changing the priority status.
okay.
Your call.
You have our vote. Well, maybe not vote, but
Right.
support.
Support.
Um,
Great.
So that was a lot, and I appreciate all your time to help me, try to explain stuff. I know, as all of you have learned over the years, I tend to tell it like it is and ask questions, and that's really helped us over everyone that's been on this committee for the past at least 6 years, I think. And like Jill came out recently, and Howard, and we, it's all we want. I mean, anyone has a question, give us a call.
Of course.
This is so helpful.
Yeah, you guys shoot it straight, David. One of the things we love about you and the department.
Well, Also,
Yeah.
David, just all the details, like it's impressive.
It's a lot and it's
I mean,
important.
every house and every fail, it's just like, it's awesome. We're
And-
so lucky to have you.
Right, and it's not easy, because like you said as well, too, a lot of stuff that was done 50, 100 years ago was
Uh-huh.
just done.
Yeah.
Oh, put it on a plan? Well, oh, you
And you're
know,
like, oh, no, we did it.
yeah, we
Well,
just,
we've had a lot of recent where they've gone to put a foundation in the ground, and
Yeah.
what's this 18-inch line in the ground? Oh, that's drainage.
yeah,
That drains the whole cliff. It's like we just had another one on New Lane. New Lane, North Liberty Street, and
yeah.
goes with 4 properties, not listed anywhere.
Thanks.
So
Christie's got one comment.
David, did you say you were not following through on the small mobile jetter?
yeah, I put it
in.
in there. This started when we initially started with the stormwater stuff, and I really
Yeah.
don't think that's ain't gonna go anywhere in 25. I think we got too much on the plate to try to develop the department first,
Okay.
and get everyone's feet on the ground and get things going. So that, worst case is if we have to, we can rent a small machine if we need to get somewhere. But
Yeah.
that was put on there initially, just so.
Got it.
Yes, one other question. for you.
Yeah, Christie.
David, how are you guys doing with establishing like fees and surcharges and stuff as far as like dewatering or emptying pools or something like that?
Well, that's one thing that we, the consultant that did our sewer regulations, they have a former EPA engineer on board, and she's going to be doing all of our stormwater regs. And we're not going to try to reinvent the wheel. We're looking at a lot of other towns in Massachusetts and across the country, what they charge a developer to put in, a 10,000 square foot parking lot or whatever like that.
Right.
We're also looking at, between DEP and EPA, there's new stormwater regulations that require anyone that's dewatering, they have to get a permit from EPA, and it has to meet a certain water quality. So we have had some numerous people ask for permanent dewatering permits, and I said, if you can meet EPA standards, we'll give you a permit. But no, as of right now, no one's been able to meet those standards because it involves testing and operating and permitting and everything else. So if and when we get there, and we have stormwater, we'll be able to charge, and I'm thinking probably gonna be similar to like the sewer capacity fee. It'll be a stormwater capacity fee based off of square foot area of impervious property or whatever like that. So a lot of those fees, Christie, will still need to be developed, but we're not gonna go and start from ground zero. We're gonna go
Yeah.
and look at whatever else has and go from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hate to miss even a day of some, revenue, but
Well,
I know you gotta do it right though, too.
can't call it back.
Right.
You know?
Well,
Any
it's what we're
questions?
looking to do, so.
Yeah, any other questions in here, follow-ups on any projects? We can close the book on those in terms of presentation. Sounds like we're good on everything presented. David, anything else on your end for us, or?
No, one kind of interesting fact that nobody might know about is currently, I think they're still, NOAA's still on site here. NOAA is installing 3 different radar sites out here at the facility. A lot of the funding, I have a feeling, came out of grants on the wind farm, but
Yeah,
they're putting in 3 different types of radar, so they can pinpoint track water vapors in the sky. Another one's going to be 2 of them are like lidars for wind up to 19 kilometers or something like that. So they're trying to see the steering patterns and stuff like that of wind. It's pretty. I was in the trailer down there earlier today, and it's like, wow, electronics. I'm all about this. So it's really neat. Barry, I think you'd like to take a see what they're putting in out here. So
you piqued my curiosity.
He's on his
yeah.
way.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
Cool.
other than that, anyone ever has any questions or want to go out at some time and go visit the projects that are ongoing, like the force main
Oh.
project or
Yeah.
something, give me a call. Great, stop by the job site and tell the superintendent there who you are, and they'll explain to you. I've told them all that we might have different board members or whatever ask questions just because we want to know. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so,
We appreciate that.
Yep.
Again, you guys have a lot going on, and it's important stuff, and good to see you guys having a great handle on it, and preparing yourselves for everything to come down the road.
well, I can't thank Sue enough, even though I tend to
Neither can
probably
we.
I drive her crazy, but
Oh, I think you said
but
sewer.
it's
Yeah, both of them.
yeah.
Yeah. Great. Well, I guess we'll let you get back to it. I'm sure you've got 10 places to be. So
Yeah.
All righty. Well, thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Anytime,
job.
give me a call, pop out, see us or whatever like that. So
great.
Thanks, David.
Thank you, David.
thank you, everyone. Bye. Have a
Appreciate
good
it as
weekend.
always. You too. All right, so that wraps up a couple of requests, annual report and recommendations, work group updates. I think we can skip over that for now, since
Yeah.
Stephen and Howard are both not here.
Motion to adjourn.
Committee reports, none. Go to the order. Anybody? Go to the order? No? Okay.
She'll just sit.
Self-reflection, I think we're good.
I like that
Uh,
self-reflection.
yeah.
No self-reflection.
We
There
can
you go.
maybe do that.
Meditation next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Date of next meeting, November 16th, 2023, 1 week from today at 1 PM. If there's nothing else, then I will take a motion to adjourn.
So.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Hi.
Bye.
All right, great.
Good
Thank you,
show,
everybody.
everyone.
Yep. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
Yep, not monitor, recording has almost stopped.
Yeah.
Boop, boop.
Boom.
Oh, did it just jump on me?
Yes, it did.
There we go.
Yours is just
Yes,
pretty there.
yes, yes,
Oh, yeah, the cabbage.
yes,
You like it?
yes.